Hey everybody, it's day 7 of the fast. I'm going to run out of fingers pretty soon and have to do this number right here. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Jesus being the center of our life. When your life is centered around Jesus and when He is the middle of your life. And it's not like we have to fast in order to remind ourselves of that, but sometimes the painful sacrifice of fasting just makes it all the more real when we get numbed and when we've been kind of overwhelmed by everyday routine in life. Well, there's a song. In fact, we're going to do a little bit more music today because Pete and Alicia sing a song about Jesus being the middle of everything about our lives. And this really picks up where we were talking yesterday, but it will take us a step further today. And so I want you to just go ahead and sing along with those two. This will be about 10 minutes worth of music. And then after you sing along with Pete and Alicia, I want you to go ahead and look at the book of Luke with me. But before we do that, will you remind yourself by singing that Jesus is the center of your life? Sing with Pete and Alicia, will you?
Jesus at the center of it all. Jesus at the center of it all. From beginning to the end, it's always been you, Jesus. Jesus, nothing else matters. Nothing in this world will do. Jesus, you're the center. Everything revolves around you. Jesus, you at the center of it all. You're at the center of it all.
And Jesus at the center of my life. Jesus at the center of my life. From beginning to the end, it will always
been you, Jesus. Jesus, nothing else matters.
Nothing in this world will do. Jesus, you're the center. Everything revolves around you. Only you at the center of it all.
From my heart to the heavens, Jesus be the center. It's all about you. Yeah, it's all about you. From my heart to the heavens, Jesus be the center. It's all about you. Yeah, it's all about you. From my heart to the heavens, Jesus be the center. It's all about you. Yeah, it's all about you. From my heart to the heavens, Jesus be the center. It's all about you. It's all about you. It's all about you. the center of our church. Jesus, be the center of our church. And every knee will bow, and every tongue shall confess you, Jesus. Jesus.
And every knee will bow, every tongue shall confess you, Jesus, Jesus. Jesus at the center of it all. Jesus at the center of it all. From beginning to the end, it will always be, it has always been you, Jesus. Jesus. At the center of it all.
Now that we've reminded ourselves in song, let's turn to Scripture and remind ourselves that Jesus is the center of our life, and we want him to be the center of other people's lives too. In Luke chapter 19, there's a story of a man who is a notorious sinner, and Jesus does something scandalous. As you know, religious leaders don't spend time around the notorious sinners in Jesus' day. In fact, they still don't do it in our day. Well, Jesus spends time around this notorious sinner, and people are shocked at what they see. And Jesus has to explain why he spends time around sinners. And his explanation, I think, is very powerful for us today. So I'm going to use two verses for us today. They come from Luke chapter 19. I want to show you verses 9 and 10. And then I want to just guide your prayers for just a moment. Luke 19, 9 and 10. Jesus responded, "Salvation has come to this home today. For this man has shown himself to be a true son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save those who were lost." In Luke 19, verses 9 and 10, Jesus has to tell people, hey, I need to remind you, I didn't come for religious people. I came for people that are notoriously far from God, that are in their sin. And the religious people in the land didn't understand it. They didn't understand why Jesus would spend time around notorious sinners. Well, he had to remind them, I came to earth for people that are far from God. That's why I existed, and that's my purpose on earth. And I think we need to remind ourselves of that, because sometimes Christians, I feel this as strongly as you do, can get ourselves in this little spiritual cocoon where we're totally surrounded by other Christians and totally insulated from everybody that's outside our faith and everybody that's far from Jesus. And we don't really know what it feels like because it's been a minute or two since we became a Christian. So we don't really remember what it feels like to be far from God. Some of you that are relatively new to the faith, you remember what this was like. But for a lot of Christians, we forgot what it feels like to be far from Jesus. So we forget what it feels like the moment that Jesus steps in, changes our life, and shows us that he wants us to be a son or a daughter. And then we lose the pleasure, the joy of sharing that with other people. So when Jesus says, I didn't come to earth to be around religious people, I came to earth to be around sinners, he's also reminding us of the mission that he left his people with when he left earth and went back to heaven. And so I just want to ask you, would you pray that person that you were praying for this week, that specific person in your life that is far from Jesus, would you start to pray that God would do a miracle in their soul, and listen, that he would use you? If right now you're thinking to yourself, Jeff, I don't really know anybody who's not a Christian, maybe that language says you have surrounded yourself like a caterpillar in a cocoon around Christians totally, and no longer around non-Christians. If that's where you are, most of the time, that's okay. If you're always and only around Christians to the point that you don't know somebody who's not a Christian, maybe that's not okay. Because eventually the caterpillar has to break out of the cocoon and spread the wings and become this beautiful butterfly and fly around and show the world something that's very attractive. So my prayer for you, and what I'm asking you to pray is, God, if I'm so surrounded by other Christians that I don't know somebody that's far from you, God, would you help me to start to break a little bit out of that Christian cocoon? Would you get me in the presence of people that don't know Jesus? And would you help me to live like Jesus? Because the Son of Man came to seek and to save those that are lost. Would you pray that prayer today? And I am convinced if you will, God will start to put you in somebody's life who needs to hear about Jesus. Thank you for joining us today. I can't wait for you to hear from Troy tomorrow as he opens up John chapter 10 for us. See ya tomorrow during our Sunday broadcast.